Okay, One Piece chapter 560. Wow. So, Boa Hancock, she's all the way in. And you got some idiots in the Navy that's probably going to give her an out because there's going to be more people saying that they saw Luffy take her out in a bear hug. And you got this delusional chick saying, oh my God, is this what marriage feels like? It's like, no, he gave you a hug because you gave him the key to save his brother. Like, when she finds out what it's like to have a man inside of her, she's... well, I'm going to take a Ric Flair line out of this one. He says, hey, shut up, fat boy. I'm going to take your girlfriend home and make a woman out of her. Like, Ric Flair, go look it up. But see, when that happens, she ain't going to know what to do with herself. She ain't going to know what to do with herself. And you know what? And like, to cut the vulgar jokes out, because she's got such an extreme love for Luffy, it's probably going to be something beautiful, man. Obviously, we're not going to see that because that's not this type of manga. But you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, obviously, when that happens off panel and then like a few years pass and Luffy has a kid and all that, like, it's gonna be beautiful because she's got a genuine love for him. But she risked it all by looking backwards, and they're like, oh my God, she's looking down on him so bad that she's actually looking up. And it's because she's telling Smoker, like, you're not going to lay hands on Luffy. And these two mix it up briefly. And what I thought was really cool about this is the fact that they don't have to communicate. Like, verbally, you hear the, like, they got the little thought bubbles. Luffy realizes that he's got the key. This is interesting. Luffy is being set up to save his brother. That just throws my whole theory about Ace potentially dying, or Ace being set up to die, then Garp sacrifices himself. Luffy has the key. Oda is not going to do something as cruel to give Luffy the key to save his brother and then to have his brother get killed. That ain't happening. Or for Luffy to get the key to save his brother and then his grandfather dies to sacrifice himself to keep them alive. That ain't happening. You don't get the key. It's like Oda's giving himself an out, and I kind of feel conflicted. I feel like it's kind of cashed in some of the emotional currency that we got up to this point. But Oda builds it back up by having Luffy step in on the conversation with Ivankov and with Doflamingo and Kuma. And this is where I am slightly annoyed in that should have been Ivankov and Kuma, okay? And I know, like, Kuma has, like, the connection to Dragon. That much is obvious. And Dragon's Luffy's father. But, and it also makes sense that in an arc where Luffy really, when you look at Ace's words objectively, doesn't really belong here. Outside of the fact, yeah, that's his brother. Oh, we'll say that's a really big idea. That's a really big deal. That's his brother. No, but like if you look at it from a storytelling perspective, Luffy, nah. But it fits. He's being consistent. Luffy didn't deserve to be in that conversation. He does not have the interaction with Kuma and that whole history. That isn't really there. Luffy's like, yeah, he did say something like that. Huh. Light bulb. That should have been a Kuma and an Ivankov and Doflamingo moment right there. That should just have been those three. But because this is, you know, One Piece, and Oda hasn't shown that he has the balls to do what Togashi did, which is put the main character on the back seat. Hell, even Akira Toriyama did it. Put the main character on the back seat and focus on the secondary characters and then come back. Make us miss Luffy for a little bit. Having Luffy kind of step in at this point, it's like, I don't really know about that one. But what we find out that Kuma went through is totally... I'm starting to agree with Ivankov. I don't know if he's going to allow himself to be turned into a full cyborg like that, because he is a weaponized human, and what that tells me is the world government. And this is some shady shit, and this might be what Doflamingo was talking about. You know, when he gave that speech about everything in black and white. He probably knows that Kuma got turned into a weaponized human. So what if we could be seeing a scenario where the world government says, these guys with devil fruits are too powerful. The really, really powerful ones we can't really stop. Let's just turn them into robots. That will be completely nuts, because they have them under control. And you might as well start with an OP fruit like the pawpaw fruit. You might as well start and see if it works. And if it does, You capture Logia fruits and the zone types. You capture those guys and you turn them into weapons. You strip away free will. Oda's and Oda has touched on stuff like slavery and slave trade and hinted at things like rape. You know, like when you look at Boa Hancock, like with her and her two sisters, it was implied. It wasn't said, but it was implied. They probably got sexually assaulted. You know, so I mean, Oda isn't afraid to touch on this stuff. So I really interested to see where that one's going. Really interested to see where that one's going, because that's a plot point being set up for something else. But the fact that Luffy's got the key and he's fighting his way towards his brother, that is the huge highlight here. And going back to Ivankov, I do want to say this before I get out of here. The fact that Ivankov is saying, hey, you don't lay your hands on my Candyman, and that's what it takes to have Ivankov kind of go through and fight. I think that Oda used this as an opportunity to do two things. Yes, they were used as a catalyst to have Ivankov fight. That's obvious. Now let's go further below the surface. It was also Oda's way of saying Ivankov still views Kuma as a comrade, and anybody who harms his comrades, he's gonna make them pay. And he has to beat some sense into Kuma in order to bring him out, because he says like, hey, you gotta understand, you're the first person who's forgotten my face. And it's like nobody's gonna forget your face, dude. Like, are you serious? Nobody's gonna forget your face, because it's just like that, okay? And here's the thing. If you didn't know, I was gagging right there. But here's the thing about that, okay? See, he's going to try and beat his memories back in. And if that happens, it could be a scenario where, yeah, they strip away free will, but part of you still remains as human. And it goes back to the whole thing about what it means to be human. Oda's talking about the bonds at this point. So really interested to see if we get a flashback between these two. And I'm going to end the chapter off here with the discussion about Luffy potentially fighting Hawkeye. And what Hawkeye says, he says, red hair, I can't keep that promise. This sword knows no limits. Sword, pointy things. Luffy, devil fruit, pointy things are his problem. Rubber fruit. I mean, this is going to be interesting. That's the worst matchup for Luffy to fight. And if Luffy does fight Shanks, this is going to be the shit. This is going to be that trial where Luffy fights, gets his ass whooped, takes his L, comes back stronger, and he's getting prepared to go into the new world. So I'm not upset at it. It just comes down to execution. But my chapter question to you guys, I'm going to keep this one simple. What were your thoughts about the experiments? And for me, I didn't talk about Frankie, but that name was very familiar. I think Frankie's with Vegapunk, who is like the one that just did this whole thing. Did we see a scenario where Frankie actually helped? Well, no, this is happening at the same time though, so this is interesting. Because the cover stories are like the Straw Hats going through the exploits. You know, you got like Chopper being chased. They want to make reindeer stew out of them. You got Nami being useful in her situation, not like Nico Robin, where Nico Robin was in chains and having to work on things, and then she escaped, but then she gets caught when she escapes and gets recruited into the rebellion. Hadn't heard from that chick since. But Nami, you know, Nami learning how to use that staff. You know, she like the guys using like the weather machines and everything. Nami gonna come back and Nami gonna be useful. You know, like Nami doing the damn thing. But you know, all the Straw Hats have their thing. So that's gonna be interesting. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Hold this L for Nico Robin, guys. Have an awesome day.